All right, everyone. Last night it was reported, of course, that a federal judge had tossed out the Emoluments case against Trump, basically saying, hey, the plaintiffs who are basically, I think it was a hotel worker and like a restaurant owner or something, they can't actually bring this case. But, Congress needs to do something if they think the president's like taking foreign gifts or has foreign contracts that disenable him to actually do what he needs to do in an independent manner. Congress reviews that. It has nothing to do with some private entity saying, well, Trump still has his name on this business, therefore I can't compete. I'm competing with the President of the United States. It's not proper. That's not exact. That's not what it means. Now, immediately, and this was funny as hell, I tweeted out a couple things at the time because I thought it was off the wall. A lot of people that don't like Trump, obviously, they were like, whoa, the fact that this was dismissed doesn't mean he was exonerated. Haha, see, he's still guilty. It's just the federal judge, these people can't actually sue for it, but he's still guilty. Trump, let me explain this for the 10th fucking time. Donald Trump was a private citizen when he built his business empire. And I find it funny that the same people who pretend that it's like, oh, he's so rich and out of touch, at the same time they'll laugh that he only made $100 million in a year. He only took home, what, like $60 million in pure profit. Oh, haha, that's not billions, as though most of his money's not tied up in property ownings. He has delegated all of his business proceedings to his kids and to his various managers. He is not in charge of Trump Incorporated at this time. He gets a very, very standard, and this doesn't break the clouds either, he gets a pretty standard basic rundown about, hey, this is how much the business that you technically, in name only, own, how much it made, how much we paid out in net profit or net deficit or whatever. These were some decisions that were made. A basic rundown that you or I would be privy to as well. Very simplistic. He doesn't get to call the shots. He's not making contracts as President of the United States involving Trump Incorporated. No, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump and Ivanka and Jared Kushner and some various managers that he delegated. These are the people making the actual decisions. That doesn't violate... See, most of these people don't even know specifically what the Emoluments Clause is meant to actually do. It's meant to keep a foreign state from bribing the President of the United States or to prevent the President from unduly using that point of office to crush competitors within private business he himself or she herself, and in the far future, Clinton won't be in that office, and I don't think Warren or Gillibrand will either, and that they would be using that to gain undue competitive advantage over people in a domestic sense. But Congress gets to make that determination. Congress would have to step in. Congress realizes that Trump is not really managing his businesses, so, the domestic side goes completely out the window. On the foreign side, which was the original thing that so many people mentioned it for, oh, well, Trump has foreign business ties. The only reason you even care that Trump Incorporated has overseas assets or takes investment from people overseas is because you noticed, hey, some of those people are Russian and we've already presupposed that he's a Russian pawn. If that line was never spewed out of the asshole of the DNC, you would not care. Nobody would care. You never would have heard the term Emoluments Clause. Most of you don't know what it means, and this case never would have been brought. That's the honest truth. Most of these people don't know what they're talking about. Being liberal, seeking to cover its ass too, because this was, remember, a big part early on in the presidency. Oh, this is going to bite him in the ass. This is going to get him impeached. So now that it's been thrown out and you finally realized, because even the legacy media is telling you this in its simplistic, simplified rundowns of the story, hey, Congress would have to do something about it. Oh, wait, the Congress, the House that's controlled by Republicans, the Senate controlled by Republicans. I'm sure this is going to work out for the Democratic bottom line. Now that you realize that it's actually literally nothing, it's not going to happen, he's not managing his businesses, it's a pure and simple fact that as a private citizen, he was perfectly allowed to take foreign investment. In fact, that's a good thing. If you're building something in the U.S., someone foreign is investing in it, that's a good thing, generally speaking. The Japanese did this back in the 80s. Certainly, the Chinese do it frequently now. It actually can build things that have value. It can be a good thing. It doesn't mean some foreign entity is controlling you. In a way, it means you're controlling them. They're relying on you to provide them investment opportunities. They have faith, in the full faith and credit, literally, of the standing of the country that they're investing in. It's a good thing. When Americans, over the slump of the last decade, have been investing in places like China or India, or doing it because they're like, oh, if I invest in the U.S., things will be so great. Now, of course, we back on top because of Trump's tax reform, which, by the way, I think is going to do far better. I can't wait to talk about that. It's all doom and gloom from the media right now. It's hilarious. They're living in la-la land. But then again, that's par for the course over the last year. Technically speaking, it's been par for the course since Bill Clinton left office. Soon as W got in there, they all got brain diseases. Total morons. But some individual with no legal training, no basic comprehension of business or strategy or branding, investment or anything like that is going to tell you on Twitter, oh, Trump is still guilty, here's 10 reasons why. Being liberal says so. MSNBC says so. Chris Matthews said that he's guilty, so I'm going to take that as a token of truth. That's not living in reality. It's funny. It's amusing. It provides me opportunities for amusement. See, I like the drama and the weird shit that goes on. It doesn't frustrate me because it's actually funny. One of the things, there was a little part of me, it's like, well, if Hillary Clinton wins, for the next 4 years, it's going to be nonstop hilarity because I know she's going to do corrupt, shady shit every single day. It's going to be a freak show. She would be a one-termer, probably, wouldn't survive her first year and off. She'd have a stroke and die. It would have been funny. It would have been hilarious, especially since the VP that would have had to take over is totally incompetent. Can't even out-debate Mike Pence, of all people. Yeah, poor Hillary Clinton. Poor hashtag resist people. You're having a tough year. Trump got his tax reform. He basically crippled the ACA, although, the Republicans, they didn't exactly do a good job on that. Trump and Rand Paul aside, most of the others are too busy bickering over what sacred cows they were going to keep in their Republicare bullshit. It's actually good that the ACA is still intact minus the mandate, because that was the worst part of the ACA all along. Go ahead and get your shitty plans if you want to, but you shouldn't have to pay a fine for not getting a shitty plan, basically. Okay, now it's voluntary again, so at least that's a saving grace. Trump's doing just fine. He wins this case, basically, because, nobody's going to be able to be a plaintiff. Congress can take it up. They're not going to take it up. Trump's doing fine. He gets his tax reform. ISIS is basically... Have you heard much about their attacks here? Have they done as much over the last year as they had been doing for a few years under Obama, when the problem was metastasizing because of ineptitude and because he was too busy arming the FSA that didn't fight ISIS? They were fighting Assad. No, they've been wiped out in Syria. All Trump had to do is say, okay, Assad, you take over and have fun. Hey, Iranians, wink, wink, you can do your thing too over in Iraq. It's going to be funny. And it worked. Even in Afghanistan. Begrudgingly, I say this, it looks like the strategy of dumping a few thousand extra soldiers there has calmed the situation even more. It's improving the situation. By the way, on a moral level, I totally oppose occupying Afghanistan at all, because I think we were basically the problem to begin with. Now, back in the 70s, I don't mean with the Taliban post-Iraq war and Afghanistan invasion. I mean like back in the Jimmy Carter era. We were already the problem. It's sad. We were the Gerald Ford, Nixon sort of politicians, the Jimmy Carters, the Reagans. They really fucked that region too. It's not all Bush's fault. Although I got to talk about Bush later too. Everything seems to be intertwined lately. Everything overlaps with every other story. It's actually quite interesting. I'm wondering if it's a little bit synchronistic there. That's about all. Peace out.